Real talk. How often do you watch videos or listen to podcasts about time management and get different tips and ideas, but you just feel like you're drowning? And no matter what tips you hear, you just feel like, I don't even know where to begin. If that's the case, this podcast episode will give you some encouragement. So I hope you will continue to listen because it really set off a few light bulb moments for me, and I hope it will for you as well. Hey, Glue Sticks, Sarah here for another podcast episode here on the Work Life Glue podcast. You can watch on YouTube on my Work Life Glue YouTube channel, or you can listen on your favorite podcast app, whatever works for you. But I am here today doing something a little bit different. I have a subscription box, which I'm sure you've heard about by now, and we have a community on Facebook. And every month we have a live training with a trainer who is an expert in that specific topic we're focusing on that month. For January, we have been focusing on time management. And my trainer this month was Amy Miller of Simply Beautiful Plans. I've interviewed her here on the podcast before. I will link to that episode below, where she talked all about running an online shop. She makes custom stickers. She also homeschools her two boys, who are very similar in age of my two older girls. And she's juggling it all. And she has a lot going on personally as well. And so I thought she was the perfect person since she is all about planning. She also has a background in teaching on these topics as well as other educational topics before she started her business. And so she's the perfect person to talk to. And I thought I would take some of those light bulb moments I had when she and I were talking in our exclusive Facebook group for anybody who owns the box or signs up for the community only option. So you guys can get some of the information she shared, but also kind of get a taste of some things you might experience if you are in the group, since I know this is all very new and you guys are asking me like, what is it actually like? Well, now you can kind of hear what the trainings are like. They'll be obviously different every single month, new trainers, new topics, but it's a great conversation. They're training, I'm asking questions. This particular topic I know a lot about, so I also shared some things that Amy had really brought up in me that I didn't even think about. So I hope you guys will get some encouragement, get some aha moments, and figure out some places to start, especially if you feel like you don't even know where to begin. She shares some good analogies to kind of help you to think about it. And also later at the end, there's just some really good inspiration about what it means to be motivated and how to motivate yourself when you don't feel motivated. So let's jump into that interview. Okay, for anybody who is here on the live or watching later, and if they're really struggling with time management, where would you advise them to start?
So one thing that I started with, especially even before I had kids, one of the theories that I was introduced with when I was actually teaching time management was the theory of big rocks and little rocks. So we always are tasked with these big things that we have to accomplish in a day, and then little things. And we tend to get distracted by the little things that are easy tasks, because the easy tasks are kind of a little bit more delicious and easy to do. And we kind of want to check those ones off first because they're quick and fast. And the big ones tend to be the harder ones, but they also tend to be a little bit more important.
Yeah.
I tend to call them the big rocks and little ones, or the must-dos and the may-dos. So those are what I tend to write in my planner, the must-dos, the may-dos. And what I like to do is I like to write down how long it is going to take me to do and when can I fit them in. And I like to write them down at the beginning of my week and how can I fit them in. So if my one task is going to maybe take me 4 hours, can I fit it in on Monday? Am I going to have to break it apart? Is it a task that I can break apart? Or do I have to actually do it within 4 hours? Like, this is something I have to do from start to finish.
Right.
Do I maybe need, or is this something I have to do by myself? These are all the kind of things that you kind of have to ask yourself. If it's something you can break apart, then that's great, because then you can kind of break it apart into a smaller and more manageable rock, and it's not as scary anymore. So that makes it less daunting and less anxiety ridden, and then you're not as scared of it. So that's something I like to do at the beginning of the week.
Okay.
an example of that is cleaning. So that's something that I like to break apart so that I can then make my family more of a priority on the weekend. So I break apart my cleaning at the beginning of the week. So I will schedule my laundry. So I'll schedule the boys for Monday. I'll schedule my husband and mine for Tuesday. I'll schedule our towels for Wednesday. I'll schedule our sheets for Thursday. And then anything additional for the Friday, if there's anything that's run over. The Saturday, Sunday, there's no laundry. Then usually Tuesday will be any tidying. Wednesday will be like anything around the kitchen. And so I'll schedule little bits and pieces. So every single day during the week, I'll have 1 or 2 things of cleaning. That then by Saturday and Sunday, I have nothing to do except family time. So that's how I'm setting aside and making my family a priority. And cleaning is not then on the weekend.
Gotcha.
Since I know he works, obviously, Monday to Friday. Obviously, in your situation, you could prioritize it differently around your husband's work.
Yeah.
But depending on your schedule, you can make it so that whenever it works for your family, that you get family priority time.
Yeah.
Depending on what you're.
Yeah.
So
and what I'm hearing you say is, like, if you're just starting out, the first thing to do is figure out what things do you have to do and what things are the may do's. I like that, must do, may do's. Like the may do's, and you have to be honest with yourself, because a lot of us try to like cram in all these things and feel like we must do them because we've committed in our brain to it. Like we've committed to having a perfectly clean house. Well, do we really have to have like deep clean the, I don't know, baseboards or whatever, you know? But we all have different things. So I love that. And I love how you even took it further. Like if there's a big task that's kind of daunting, do we have to do it all in one chunk, or can we split it up into more manageable chunks? And I know a lot of people have heard of like zone cleaning or the Fly Lady system, where she like breaks it down. And that may work great for some people. Some people do want to do like the 3 or 4 hour whole house. That's okay. It's just figuring out what works for you and where you're going to fit it in. And maybe you're not in a season where you can do that. You have little kids, you don't ever get away from them, or, you know, when you're away from them, you're at work and they're at daycare or whatever. So I love that. I want to pop in and just take a second. If you guys are listening to this and gaining a lot of knowledge from it, I want to invite you to join my community only plan. If you are not interested in my subscription box, or maybe money is really tight right now, but you really want some accountability, you want somebody to kind of walk you through different steps to improve your life. You want like-minded people who are all about positivity and bettering our lives. You want to be part of that group. I would love to invite you to become part of that group. I will have a link in the show notes or the description if you're watching the video to that where you can sign up for it. And if you sign up and you want a code, you can use the code brand new in all caps, no spaces, brand new, and you get $5 off your subscription for as long as you stay subscribed. So you're saving 25% off of that subscription, and you will get emailed right after that with the login information to become part of the group. It's on Facebook. We do challenges every month, a whole monthly challenge that revolves around the box, but you don't have to have the box to participate. Every week I go live and I train you and I kind of walk you guys through how you can make very small but meaningful changes that don't take a lot of time but will have a lot of impact on bettering your life. You will get discount codes before other people do on box items. So if I have extra boxes or extra items, you can get your hands on those first. We also do monthly giveaways, so you could win a box. So there's so many great things in there, and you have more access to me to ask me questions, and you get the live training like I'm showing you in this video. This actual training was 50 minutes long, but I'm just sharing a little piece. So let's jump back into our interview and learn some more from Amy.
Starting with what your priorities are, I think you would address it as well. Like, what are your main priorities? So, you know, what is important to you, I think, is crucial. Then, like what I had said, you know, family is obviously important to me.
Yes.
So making sure that on the weekend, I'm able to actually spend time with my family. And I knew that on the weekend, I didn't want to be spending it cleaning. So in order to make sure I wasn't spending it cleaning, I needed to make sure that I was doing a couple things during the week
Right.
so that I could have with my family. So spreading around those little rocks throughout the week made sure that I could actually do that.
Yeah.
So as pushing around some of those time management things can actually do that.
Yeah, for
The
sure.
other is also your block scheduling, which I had seen one of those comments that she had mentioned that she does follow a block schedule.
Yep.
That was another thing I also do is block scheduling. And I also find that really helps with time management because it does focus your time.
Yep.
So if you're not sure about what block scheduling is, I know there's lots of good videos on it online, but block scheduling pretty much follows like if you're in high school, it follows that sort of same methodology. You go to math, you're focused on math, that's all you're focused on. The bell rings, you go to language arts, you're focused on language arts until the bell rings, and then you go to the next subject. Same philosophy. When you're in that subject, that's all you're focused on. So I love it because when I'm homeschooling my kids, that's where my attention is. And that's the only thing my attention really should be on. And then when I'm in my work period, that's all that I'm focused on is my work, technically.
Right.
Obviously, there's things do happen, that's life. But I try to really focus in. When I get text messages from my friends while I'm in my work period, I really try, unless it's, the house is burning down or their life is burning down, I do really try. This is my focus time.
Right.
Or like house time. I'm listening to a podcast and like this is my time that I need to really invest in me. And I can respond to them in my next hour, right?
Right.
Like they don't respond for me right away. They can wait half an hour when this block period ends. And I can respond to them then.
Yeah, I love that. So setting boundary, I think like that's something I hadn't even really thought of. Like we can plan our time, but then if we don't set boundaries around it, we have kids, most of us here, they will easily take our time from us if we let them. Friends and all of that, like even our spouse or just like our own personal, like if you see something messy but you're supposed to be working, like having those blinders, like, okay, I'll get to that at this time, I've planned it out, or maybe I need to just write it down so that I can focus on what I need to focus on. I think that's so crucial and not something I've ever really even talked about. And I'm having a light bulb moment right now because I think that's a huge thing. Like when people ask me, how do you stay motivated? How do you get so much done? That's a huge piece of it. It's the time blocking, but it's also the limiting the distractions and saying this is all I'm going to do, and teaching my kids that it's really important. And whatever we're doing for homeschooling, that we're focused on that, and that when it's their time to play and it's my time to work or their time to rest, that's what we're doing, and we're not budging unless it's like they're sick or whatever. But I love that. I think that's so important. I think that's where a lot of people struggle is they set it all up, but it quickly crumbles, and especially as moms, like it's so easy if we're not really strong in our why we're doing this, or and your why doesn't have to be like I'm building a business to save the world. It can be I want to have peace in my brain, so I need to make sure I have time for cleaning, and I need to make sure I have time to focus on my kids. But I can't do either of those things well if I'm trying to do it all at once and they're interrupting me, or depending on what the situation is. But I love that. I think that's so important. How do you calm your brain to actually focus on a task and get it done? I can be so productive in the right mindset, but getting into that mindset is so hard. So what would you say to her?
I would say maybe what kind of space, so maybe reducing distraction. So for me, can she wear headsets? I sometimes put my noise canceling headphones on without anything playing.
Okay.
And that will help me calm my brain. Because if there's lots of noise coming in on me, I can't then, especially with the kids.
Yes, like it's so loud.
I can't like focus my mind.
Yeah.
They can be in the room. No. So if you're trying to just calm your brain and just focusing on that task, I would think about maybe the noise distraction. What about visual distraction?
Yeah.
Those things. You could also think about just a mental activity to help calm your brain. I don't know if you've ever done any of those before, where you just think about calming your mind. So think about looking for 4 items in a room. Then think about listening for 3 different sounds. Then think about some things that you can taste. And so it's just thinking about some things in your mind and calming, that just calms down your brain, and sitting with that for a little bit and then focusing in on a task. So it's just simple methods that you can do for a few minutes before you start in.
Yeah,
So
I
it's just a
like
calming.
that. Yeah. Yeah, because maybe she's just strictly overwhelmed or stressed or heightened for whatever reason, moms, like, when are you not in like a heightened state with kids around? So I think that's great. And I have those. I've not been great about wearing them anymore, but those, like, I think they're called loop head thing, or earbuds, and they just go in and they help filter out the higher decibels. Like, you can still hear, but it's not so like all the time when they're just like, kids' pitches are like, it's never like just calming. It's like woohoo, and it's so easy, at least for me, to get carried along on that like emotional and
Yeah,
auditory journey.
definitely.
Some other
Yeah, I've got
stuff
like,
I thought about. What?
and so
Sorry.
I just got the big Bose noise canceling ones, and I
Yeah.
just like keep them off, and just that I find will just help me when I'm like working, just to cancel out. I won't have anything playing.
Yeah.
I find me focus in, and then those like little noises that come in, I find I can just stay
Right.
focused.
I think that's great too, because in our house, like, I always hear everything. So even if, the kids are doing their rest time, if my 4-year-old jumps off her bed, like, I'm off, like, immediately triggered, even though she's like not doing anything naughty and she doesn't need me, but like just the sound um quickly takes me out of that focus. So I love that. Do you have anything else you wanted to add for that?
Adding to that is keeping your why in your planner, so that you can look back at that during your week.
Yeah.
Yourself, this is my why. And that will, when you're not feeling motivated to stick to your priorities and to stick to that, there's your why. And then you'll feel
Yeah.
to stick to your priorities.
Right. And even if not, and that's the hard thing, because the word motivated, I think, is tricky, because how often would you say you actually feel motivated to do the things you do? Yeah, but it's like, but our why is so big that we push through is really the truth of it. So I'm having lots of light bulb moments. Yeah. So when people ask me what motivates me, honestly, I'm not that motivated like, I don't feel like, oh, I'm gonna go conquer the day. It's like, okay, now I gotta go work. But like, the why is so big that I'll push through that. And then once I get in the zone, usually, like right now, earlier today, I was like, oh goodness, we're gonna go live, I'm a little nervous. But then when I actually sit down to do it and I talk to you, I'm like, this is motivating. The actual doing of it is sometimes the motivation, is starting.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I really hope you guys enjoyed these little nuggets of wisdom from Amy Miller from Simply Beautiful Plans today. And I'm excited to share more content like this in smaller form and do more interviews coming up. We have some really great ones. So make sure you're subscribed so you will see those. And I'm just so thankful for each and every one of you who has subscribed to my box, who has looked at my website, even if you haven't ordered. I just am very thankful that you've taken the time to look into it. And I just really hope that this episode and all future episodes and videos are helpful for you and motivate you and give you some encouragement and some ideas to make your life better. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.